Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we'll be having a fireside chat with the crew. Well, at least a couple of the crew. Good majority are doing things like working and vacationing and all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, we're gonna get into it here in just a little bit, and we don't know what we're gonna talk about, but we're gonna talk. But if you're enjoying these podcasts, make sure you go to the Lost Art website. That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go check it out, see what we got. There's a merchandise tab. If you want to help support us and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear, you can go on there. You can get shirts, hats, you can get mugs, you can get all kinds of cool stuff. But go on there, help support us. And then also the Till Valhalla Project doing some great things out there. If you don't know anything about them, go to their website, tillvalhallaproject.com. Go check it out. It is amazing. They are doing some great things, and I'm humbled that they let me be an ambassador for that great organization. All right, with that, I got a couple of the crew here, so we'll start with Vic. He's unmuted. So, Vic, how you doing?
I'm good. Life's good. It's been a busy week at school. A lot of things going on. Next week is homecoming, so it's our first public performance for the band, my high school band and my junior high band together. All of them together are going to equal 12 kids. It's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I got 7 kids in junior high band and 5 kids in high school band.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably be playing trumpet every time we play the fight song, and then I'm playing crash cymbals every time we do a drum cadence. It's gonna be great.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's it's what you do when you teach at a small school, But my wife found my Peterson pipe, which I've been looking for a long time. So I'm smoking a pipe again this week. Peaches and cream, paired with this is root beer and bourbon cream, which tastes basically just like a root beer float.
Wow.
With peaches and cream. They go great together.
I'm sure it does. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. All right. Well, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I go along with Vic. Like last week, been a long week, so I'm tired.
Haven't been
it's almost overly working, but I mean, it's still been a long week for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. I understand.
I don't have any band kids to teach, so I don't have any. Just got 3 dogs I got to deal with, but I mean, they're probably just as bad. So
yeah, I was going to say they're basically the same as the high school kids. So
don't even get me started on my dog, man. My dog's been living in a cone for the last, I don't know, at least last 2 weeks. Licking himself raw, like chasing his tail. I mean, he is a hot mess right now.
Wow.
We are starting to seriously consider looking for a German Shepherd rescue and just getting rid of him.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's getting bad. I can't take his anxiety on top of mine,
Yeah.
Pets are supposed to help you deal with things, and my dog is a burden, not a relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, I'm just getting sick of it. Constantly, every time I come home, it's having to wash him up because he smells so bad because he's in a cone, and the cone just harbors all that moisture, and then gets all under his chin and just, it's wet dog times 10 because he has a yeast infection under there and all over his belly and in his ears, and I can't get rid of it. The more I treat it, the more he licks, the more it just stays wet. I can't get rid of it. It's just,
that's the problem. I mean, the more you try to clean it, the worse it gets. It just keeps.
I mean, we've started. The vet told us to get some of this powder online, and I got it. And I've been using it, but I can't stay ahead of it. I can't get to the right of it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Very, very frustrating.
How old
So
is it?
if there's any dog whisperers in our people that listen to the podcast, please reach out to me. We've tried everything. I'm open to anything.
We're looking for dog whisperers. Anybody? Much like when I was the Buffalo Whisperer recently, but hopefully better than me whenever I was Buffalo whispering.
Yeah, I don't think here Buffalo. I don't think that's.
You don't think that works?
No, I don't.
I don't know. He came over there at me. He was wanting to say hi. He's snorting and he's doing his little head thing. He's probably wanting to kill me, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what they're known for.
Yeah.
Speaking of Buffalo, and this is just off the topic. I mean, it's going on with Buffalo, and we're talking about dogs and stuff. But what is the difference between a buffalo and a bison?
Technically, in America, we don't have any buffalo. We have bison. So the buffalo are like the ones in Africa. Those are actual buffalo. But what are the
water
differences?
buffaloes
I'm not.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just an interchangeable name that we use as buffalo, bison.
Correct. Gotcha. Yeah. I think they just called them buffalo for when they first got here, and then someone discovered that they're not buffalo, they're actual bison. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm super smart about that stuff. So
yeah, you probably read a sign.
As I was driving by it at 70.
Yeah. As you're trying to call your buffalo over.
Yeah, when you're talking to the bison, there was a sign right there.
My daughter came out. She's saying something.
Yeah, when I was a kid,
I have no idea.
My dad's cousin. He actually had buffalo or bison. On a farm, but majority of them were, I guess they called them beefalo.
Beefalo.
They were buffalo and cow bred. They looked just like a bison or a buffalo, but I don't know what. They were just as mean. We'd go down there and watch them, but
they say the buffalo or the bison or whatever they're called, they're actually really, really mean, and they don't recommend beginners to go out and start raising bison for the meat and stuff. They say you better start with some cows and figure it out. Yeah,
I was listening to something the other day. I think it was actually another podcast, but they there's a bunch of them on the podcast they went through Yosemite and Glacier National Park and all that, but they were talking that he had talked to park rangers and stuff, and that like buffalo are, they're very hard to sight. They can't really see, but they can hear. So that's what causes them to react at that point.
That makes sense. That's interesting.
Well, I was today years old when I figured out that buffalo and bison weren't the same thing. I always thought they were the same thing.
I always did too, but then I was told that they weren't. So I was like, okay, well, what the hell's the difference?
Yeah, I have no clue what the difference is. I'll have to look it up.
Did you just make that shit up, Andrew?
No, I'm dead serious. They are actual bison. They're not buffalo.
Okay. It was like, you mother.
Hey Siri, what's the difference between buffalo and bison? Buffaloes have shoulders. Why? What? Bison? Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. It said bison had one at the shoulders and buffalo don't. That's all it said.
I think
get off of Urban Dictionary, Vic. I mean, what?
That's Siri. This is Siri.
Good old Siri. Oh God, that's funny. Well, all right. let's see where. I mean, it's just the three of us, so we can kind of talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So Mike, Vic, anything in particular you guys want to talk about?
I'm still tracking down this buffalo bison thing.
Okay.
Bison are native to North America and Europe, while buffalo are native to Asia and Africa. Bison are generally larger than buffalo and with larger heads and humps. Horns. Bisons have shorter, sharper horns that grow upward and curve in, while buffalo have longer, curvier horns that grow from a hardened central plate and curl out to the sides. So bison curve in, buffalo curve out. Good enough for me.
So we have bison.
I do know that bison, if there's a storm, they'll walk into it instead of hunker down. They just go straight at it.
I just saw that recently. Did you send that out?
I didn't. I mean,
there was something on the face pages or one of the social media platforms that talked about that, and it was they were saying that cows will run from it and end up being in the storm longer because they're running from it. When a buffalo, he'll turn and go run into the storm, and he's so it's shorter distance or shorter time in the storm itself.
Yeah, I remember my dad's cousin talking about that anytime. He said
so
they
all
would
buffaloes
know
are boys.
Yeah, probably.
What?
He said that he. So I said all buffaloes are boys.
In my mind, they are.
Sexist. Pig.
They whatever you know what I mean.
Zion Zim.
Zai you in a second.
All right, so how about this? DoD recognizes 11 installation commands for suicide prevention success.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's see. Department of Defense today recognized 11 United States military installations and commands for suicide prevention programs and efforts conducted last year. Although they didn't say what the metric was, like, I don't know, lower suicide rates than the previous year. I don't know what the metric is. But they recognized 11 bases. Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, Army Base. Guam Army National Guard. In Guam National Guard. Let's see. Deployment Support Command in Binghamton, Alabama, Army Reserve Base. Marine Corps Air Station, Cherry Point.
Wow.
The USS Macon Island, based out of Naval Base San Diego. Naval Construction Battalion 18 in Port Hueneme in California. MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. 175th Wing Warfield Air National Guard Base, Maryland. Air Force Reserve Command at Joint Base San Antonio, Texas. Space Systems Command at Los Angeles Air Force Base. Space Force, man, I tell you, doing good things. And the Coast Guard Base Kodiak in Alaska.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm surprised at two of those. One being the Space Force, because you had mentioned, I think it was last podcast, you talked about Space Force's suicide rates were ridiculously high.
Yeah.
And then the other is Alaska. Typically, that's a very depressing area for, if you're already a depressed person, going there makes it way worse because it's dark 24 hours a day in the wintertime.
Yeah. Yep.
But good for them for whatever they're doing.
Yeah, good on them.
That's enough. Yeah. Wow.
Let's see what else. And other military news: House Republicans demand GOP leadership remove National Defense Authorization female draft language.
What?
24 House Republicans are firing a warning shot at GOP leadership. Remove the provision to draft our daughters from the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act, or else.
Or else what?
I don't know. Or else there is going to be a new Speaker of the House. I guess I don't know.
You love me?
Mm.
Be kicking me out of
Well, I thought that was one of the big things that the Republicans were saying was because of go on.
I love you.
Oh, I love you too, but go on. The can't remember what I was saying now. She messing with
Texas.
me. Yep. It's
Something
gone.
about Texas.
You were saying the House Republicans and
Well, the House Republicans, because the Democrats were pushing for equality and everything, then they were like, okay, well, equality is women being drafted.
Yeah.
And that was what the Republicans pushed, which actually went into effect, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So here is a quote. We, meaning the group of Republicans, write today in opposition to the Senate Armed Services Committee's heinous decision to advance the NDAA that indicates or that includes a provision to draft our daughters, the Republicans wrote. Instead of solely focusing on advancing our national security objectives, the Senate Armed Services Committee once again chose behind closed doors to report an NDAA that amends the Military Selective Service Act to register women for the Selective Service.
Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh.
Yeah. So there's that. Let's see what else. Oh, we finally have some numbers. Remember, I've been talking for several weeks now about our presence in the Middle East and how we're posturing. They finally came out. The U.S. has kept an increased military presence in the Middle East throughout much of the past year. Now with about 40,000 forces. At least
40,000.
40,000 forces. At least a dozen warships, 4 Air Force fighter jet squadrons. Previously, it was 2. Spread across the north, across the region, both to protect allies and to serve as deterrents against attack. As attacks between Israel and Hezbollah spiked this week, worries are growing that the conflict could escalate into an all-out war. Let's see. Hezbollah says Israel crossed a red line with explosive attacks. Have you guys remember or did you notice all that this week? There was a second attack.
Exploding pagers. And...
First it was pagers, then it was walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
4,000 walkie-talkies. Yeah.
You're saying 4,000 blew up?
Yes.
Wow.
Some of the walkie-talkies blew up at funerals for these people that were killed by pagers.
What?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So now they're getting all pissed off. Okay, cool. That's what you get for slaughtering people in Israel. Yeah.
Wow.
And then in veteran news, Congress approves a $3 billion lifeline to prevent delay in vet benefits. State lawmakers approved a $3 billion budget stopgap for the Department of Veterans Affairs on Thursday, preventing a threatening delay in the delivery of some veteran benefits.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I got.
Yeah. All right. That was good. I like it. Mike, what do you got? You want to talk about?
Well, I was gonna go back with what Vic was talking about with the selective service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I'm a father of a daughter. Yeah, I've got a son too, but I have a daughter. I know Vic's got a daughter. You got 2 daughters. I mean, what is your opinion on that?
Yep, that's a tough one. I'm not going to say that when you look at the military in general, there are some women that could do really, really well in certain MOSs, right? Talking about the combined arms types of MOSs. Some would do really, really well. But I would say the vast majority would not do well in that type of environment. So if you're drafting people, you're drafting them specifically to be trigger pullers. That is the basic gist. So you're going to take somebody that's probably not ready to do that. and you're going to put them out there doing those types of things, especially if they haven't been doing it for years and years and years. So from that standpoint, no, I think it's a bad idea. Whereas you could take a male, and even though maybe the male's not as in shape as, the guys that are currently in, just by nature of how they're built, they're more than likely going to be able to do the things that needs to be done.
Vic?
I'm not sure how I feel about it. I mean,
Yeah.
from a politician standpoint, if you want to call me a politician, we Democrats have been saying equality in all things. There's no such thing as a female anymore. So it's like, all right, cool. We don't want to define male and female anymore. You can't tell us what a female is. So draft everybody. And that part of my brain says, sure, stop bitching, complain about it. Let's make everybody, I don't think that necessarily everybody has to be drafted to be trigger pullers. Take the people that would be in support positions and make them all female if we're going to draft, and then make everybody that is male or has male
Claims to be male or says they're male.
Yeah, has the piping to be male, make them trigger pullers, but from a father perspective, I couldn't see my kid in combat. I couldn't see my kid in any of the military branches. So, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be proud if she was drafted. I would be proud. I think she would do well. But I think that is more of an overall parent opinion of anybody getting drafted, Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm leaning towards we could probably meet our draft requirements by drafting males only. But
with as many people are in this country, I would say, that's doable for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a
let's
question
say you have. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say, there's many countries that it is a requirement. When you hit 18, you serve for X amount of years. And I think that would be fantastic. If you serve the minimum amount, because you're going to learn things that are going to set you up for success in the future. And if something happens, you have plenty of people to call on.
Yeah. Many countries have 2 years of compulsory service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you turn 18, you spend 2 years in that country's service, and then you go and do whatever else.
Either stay in or go away.
Yeah. Which I honestly, I think is a great idea.
Yeah, I do too.
And then, maybe even 3 years, do 3 years. And then when you're 21 and responsible enough, have a little bit of discipline in you, you might be responsible enough to start drinking and not kill somebody,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, that's what South Korea does, isn't it? Once you turn 18, you have so many years to have completed your required military service. I think it's, like you were saying, Vic, 2 years.
Yeah. Hey, Siri,
there's a lot of,
list the
I think,
countries
European
that have
countries
compulsory
as well.
military service.
Israel's like that.
Israel, South Korea, Singapore, Norway, Greece, Switzerland, and Finland.
No kidding. That's it, huh?
Yeah, but the biggest thing with that is I would think you would have to have a period of time where, what's the cost to put somebody into the military? What, it's kind of what are you going to get what's the return for the cost at that point?
Yeah.
And that sounds terrible, but that's actually, that's a business. Whether anybody likes it or not, military and war is business.
Yeah. In fact, the biggest budget is in the military.
Yeah.
When you look at between contractors, you look at the military itself, you look at all that type of stuff. That's the biggest out of all the other government stuff that's going on. The military has the biggest chunk of it.
Just
in my opinion,
Yeah.
I think that's important. And we should, because you have to have that deterrence, right? But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think the American people are starting to get real tired of being the saviors of the world and spending our money on other people's wars. If you look at everything going on in the U.S. and how much money have we given Ukraine, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when inflation is as high as it is. Why aren't we giving some of this money? Why are we taxing so much when taxes are already high? Why are we taxing so much when inflation is so high? When our dollar buys so much less, just so we can give billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to a country on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn a little bit because you look at, and this is going to be controversial, I'm sure, but you look at the United States and when it was founded and all that type of stuff, and it was founded on Christian principles and things of that nature. And as a Christian nation, I think that it is we should be reaching out and helping others, right? In my opinion. But the problem in that lies with how much we are helping and then how little, unfortunately, we are a Christian country anymore. It's not that way. And you could look back 50 years, it was completely different 50 years ago.
So when helping in what way? A handout or a hand up?
Well, it should be a hand up.
Right. Agreed.
But, they have to do their part, in my opinion.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Yeah, but right now we are creating a we are enabling all these other countries, almost creating a welfare globe that people like other countries are depending on the U.S. to pay more than our fair share, to give them handouts instead of hand ups.
Yeah.
That is not America first, and the people in America are seeing that.
Yeah, that's true.
At least you hear about it, day in and day out. People getting tired of it, seeing all of our money blatantly going overseas, all of our money blatantly allowing millions and millions of people come into this country unvetted and do whatever they want, and giving them things in this country to do whatever they want. Giving them phones, giving them now we're going to give $25,000 to anybody that wants to buy a house, or at least Kamala Harris wants to. You get a $25,000. You know what that means?
Taxes.
That means home builders are going to add $25,000 to the price of their houses. That's all that means.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
That's literally what that means. And then I'm sick and tired of this whole corporate tax. We're going to raise corporate taxes. No, you're not. All you're doing is taking more Americans' money, because corporates don't pay taxes. Corporations don't pay taxes. They push the cost of the tax onto the consumer.
Yeah.
Well, they're always going to make up their money. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
At that point.
So the government is saying we wanted more taxes from corporations, which means they're just laundering the taxpayers' money through corporations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's all they're doing. So, and then you add that on top of, let's get $62 billion to Ukraine so they can fight this proxy war for us, which I kind of understand why they're doing it. The more that we can, lower the resources of Russia and deplete their resources, the less that, trouble they can cause around the globe. But all we've done is push them closer to China. So now China is going to start bankrolling Russia.
I'm surprised.
We're bankrolling Ukraine.
I'm surprised China hasn't actually gotten involved yet.
Well, they've
They're
got
doing
that
the same
alliance
thing that we are with Ukraine.
Yeah.
No, I mean like troops on the ground type of thing. I'm surprised that hasn't happened.
Well, that's what they're talking about. That's why there's such a beefy presence in the Middle East. 40,000 troops.
But not one single military is deployed in harm's way right now.
Yeah.
In a combat zone. Yeah. Not one.
Did you see the video of the army service members that are sitting in like a hoot somewhere in the
Yeah.
Middle East?
Yeah.
What?
They're like,
Then
what?
where are
Where
we?
we at now?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, they're parked off at a golf course somewhere in Abu Dhabi or something like that. But it's yeah, I saw a good video. It was last week, I think it was, and I meant to send it to everybody, but it was actually from England, and the guy was, it was like a news anchor. He's kind of like NBC Nightly News, Lester
Mhm.
Holt or something interviewing somebody, and I don't remember the whole gist of the whole story, but he was like, well, money here, we give them money, we do this, we do that. But the whole thing of it was, he goes, he said, why are we giving money to countries that can't ever pay us back? Why are
Yeah.
we doing this? And this guy, he was just tearing this interviewer apart, and the interview was getting kind of upset at him. And he goes, so where's the money coming from? He said, well, we give money to these people, we give money to them, they turn around and to pay us back. He said, it's a freaking, it's like the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. Okay, well, you give me money and I got to borrow money from you to pay this money. And it's just a never ending deal. And he says, so who is the ultimate, where the money's coming from? He said, the United States. And
Wow.
he goes, okay, so where's the United States getting their money from? And he goes, China.
What?
He flat out said like I said, I'd have to go dig and try to find it. But his point is the control that China has on the United States. And that he said the money that the United States is getting, he said, they're printing money. And he said, 5 years ago, he flat out said it 5 years ago. He said, even before that in history, he said, our pound or even the euro couldn't compare to the U.S. dollar. He said the U.S. dollar means nothing now.
Yeah, which is true.
He said all they do is print money, so they have more money, but there's nothing. He said they have nothing to back it, and the only money they have is they get it from China.
Yeah.
And he was very adamant. He goes, and that's the fault of the administration that is in there now. And I mean, this dude was as English comes, but he was, and it was a really good article, and I was going to send it, and I was like, let me go back to it. When I went to go back to it, I couldn't find it. But
holy cow.
But it was literally, how he was talking about it is, we're giving money to people that can never pay us back. What's the tax? At what point in time do we say enough's enough, or when do we start this tax, or when do you have to start paying your fair share in the United Nations? And, that was Trump's biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is, what was it? The whole, with France and all that, what was it?
Well, didn't he tell them that if you don't start paying, then we're pulling out or something like that?
Yeah,
And
it
then
was
they started
something.
paying?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was now.
Something like that, yeah.
So looks like Japan and China are the largest of the foreign countries that own our debt. China and Japan are the two largest. Let's see. Between December 2000 to April 2024, Japan grew from owning 556 billion to just over 1.1 trillion. China's ownership grew from 105 billion to 749 billion.
And that's just it. They're buying our debt, but at a cost.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Between 2003 and 2011, China and Japan held 44% or more of all foreign U.S. debt. Foreign-owned U.S. debt, sorry.
Wow.
However, this share has declined over time, and as of 2023, they controlled approximately 25% of foreign-owned debt. Yeah,
well,
so
still China has the biggest amount, though, right?
Yeah, looks like, no, Japan. As of 2024, Japan has the most. China's second, United Kingdom is the third.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah, and then Luxembourg is the fourth, and Canada is the fifth.
What?
Yeah, well, according to this, anyways.
That's insane. Holy cow.
Luxembourg. Who knew?
Well, I mean, we're obviously doing something wrong as a
Yeah,
country. You know, I don't know. Do
yeah.
you remember that movie? I think it was called Dave. Back in the day, he was a guy that impersonated the president, and then the president ends up having like a stroke or something, and he's just on lifeline type of deal. So they found that the guy that impersonated him and brought him in to basically be a proxy president, right? And so he's doing all this different things. And then he comes to find out, like, man, there's a lot of stupid stuff going on, and we could actually balance the budget and this all this other stuff. So he kind of goes through and basically starts becoming the president and talking like the president and doing things like the president. And all the people that were kind of behind the whole scheme are got pushed to the side because he's doing this. And then he, like, I don't know, I won't say gets them out of debt, but does a good job of trying that. Anyway, it was a movie. I think it was, I don't know, maybe the 90s. I could be wrong. I don't know. But it was called Dave, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh, all right. Yeah, I don't remember.
It was a good movie. Check it out.
Yeah, some of us are in the Marine Corps, Andrew. We actually had to do stuff. So I mean,
I know how much Marines watch movies, so
I spent most of the 90s in college, actually busy and, trying to get a education and degree. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's a good point.
So did Andrew.
I also spent a couple of years trying to get a degree. That I failed miserably at it, but I tried. I even tried to go back to college and like take some online classes and do things like that.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do it. I like, no, not gonna do it. I quit. Gave it up.
Yeah, I tried to start my master's in business management. Yeah, that didn't work. Jenna was a year old,
Oh yeah,
so trying with a 1 year old baby, and I was basically a brand new staff sergeant, So here I am trying
yeah.
to get my staff and CO feet underneath me, on top of trying to raise a 1 year old, and my wife is still working full time, and so here I am bouncing my baby on my leg, trying to log in and answer my 2 questions every week. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. I took 2 classes. I can't do this. I'm out.
I
Man,
withdrew out
it
of
takes
3
a special
classes.
person, especially if you're in the military. You've got to have either be single or, I mean, it's extremely hard. I don't know if either one of you knew him. His name was Alan Ramsey. He was a clarinet player. He was in
Mm.
Okinawa. I think he was
Oh,
came in 6, 7 months before I did. But
I
we
didn't
were
know
to
him.
school of music together, and he left before I did, obviously, because I stayed there for an eternity. But he went to Okinawa, and then from Okinawa to 29 Palms. But he literally, I mean, he went up to the whatever it was called back then, like the resource center for continuing education and stuff. And he literally he wasn't married. He was a sergeant, and he got his bachelor. He got his associates and his bachelor's, and I think he finally got his master's degree. But whatever, I don't remember the name of the program now. You probably, both of you would know it, but he went over and became an officer. It was like kind of like the Mustang program, but he went over.
Oh yeah, it's is
ESEP
that me
or MESEP.
ESEP,
ESEP,
enlisted
yes,
commissioning
yes.
program.
But he just retired 2, maybe 3 years ago as a
No kidding.
lieutenant colonel or a colonel.
Wow.
He was out in I think Yuma is where he retired out of, but he was in a wing squadron. But
Yeah. Interesting.
but he literally did that. That's all he did. We'd go in and do what we had to do, and he was from that point on. We always had him out to the house because I just got married, and he was by himself, and he would just
Mhm.
literally sit in his room in the dark on his
Just
laptop doing
doing homework.
Yeah, every night. I mean, that's all he did. It's like Friday night. It's like, hey, Alan, come on out. We're going to go down to Palm Springs and go to TGI Fridays. Let's have a big night
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
or something like that, or come out and we'll on a Saturday or Sunday. And he would come out, but he's like, I got too much homework to do. I got 6 papers I got to finish. And I'm like,
Good Lord.
how the hell but he did it. But he used to talk about, he was one of those people that, his family literally came from Mexico.
Yeah.
And, his father was out of the question, but his mother sent him, and I think he had a sister, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably wrong. I know he had a sibling. I don't remember if it was a brother or sister, but even in the Marine Corps, he still sent his mother 75% of his paycheck. And it was just how he did it. And he always talked about what it was like to be a U.S. citizen. What it was like to have. He always felt it was his obligation. He was a phenomenal clarinet player, but his obligation to serve.
Yeah.
For what his family, because his mother finally was able to come. I believe it was his aunt was in Texas, and it was that town. What was it? What was that back in the 90s or something? They had the country's youngest mayor. He was like 18 or something like that.
I have no
Nogales
idea.
or something. That
I
was
got
his
nothing on
town
that.
he was living in. It's like Nogales or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Wow.
he used to go on about it. He's like, people in this country don't realize what you have, take advantage of it. He used to talk
Yeah.
all the time about that to the Marines in the band. It was like, hey, you need to do this. You need to get an education. You need to take advantage of what's here.
Yeah.
And he did it.
And I would agree that the individuals that come from, other countries and they get here, it is completely different for them because they see the potential of what that could be. And then they work their butts off to get where they're going. And we just kind of, we take for granted the freedoms and all the things that come with being an American. And we just go, whatever, it is what it is. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, to go on with what you're saying there, it's a radio. I think I've mentioned it before. A radio show out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
It's Monday through Friday. It's the Elvis Duran in the morning show. I don't get to listen to it. I'm typically listening on a replay on iHeart. But a couple of weeks ago, they had. I'm behind a couple of weeks, but they had. He's born Italian, from Italy, but he does like a radio show. He's in radio
Mm-hmm.
over there, but he had met. He has a good friend that lives in New York, and then he had met Elvis Duran and
Mm-hmm.
all that. He was on, but he was talking, and his goal is they're like, you're here. How long you here? And he said like 2 or 3 weeks, and then he was going back, and they're like, so you come back, basically you come over here to this dumpster fire. You don't want to come back. And he goes, absolutely, I want to come back. And they're like, why? And he's like, people in this country don't realize what they have.
Yeah.
He said, I can come over here and be anything I want to be. He said, I'm not saying that Italy isn't free, but he said, depending where you're at, and, he said that the world, he said, it is still that American dream that the rest of the world believes in.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't want to come over here just because. He said, I want, and they're like, so you would actually become if you came over here, you would stay here. And he goes, yes. They're like, so you would want to be a U.S. citizen? He said, absolutely. He said, I don't want anything for free. He said, I want to work to get what I want. what I deserve, to have that chance. And he said, you don't get those in other parts of the world. He said, yes, there's other free countries in the world, but he said the opportunity of any place in the world is the United States of America.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to hear that. But of course, then, somebody says, well, this country hasn't been worth a damn for the last 30 years, or, it's just a nonstop, with the political climate. But a lot of that is all created at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about that it's a generated thing for people's pockets so that we can claim one thing, or we can say this or say that and get it pushed out there for everybody to believe. Because that is going to put money in people's pockets.
Yeah, money that's not worth anything. But yes.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I should have invested in gold a long time ago. That's what I should have done.
Well, that's one thing I keep looking at, because I keep getting things that, advance your portfolio with gold. And I was like, shit, I don't have a portfolio to begin with. So, I mean, I got a 401k and a couple things here or there, but
my portfolio has cobwebs in it, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So now that's where I'm sitting. It's all good.
Well, that's why Vic's living a good life. He's got military retirement.
Yeah.
He's got school retirement he can look at now for work for the school district. Yeah.
Not even taking the school retirement plan. We're just putting it all into our own private investments. Yeah. So
you go through anybody, or we're
going through First Command right now. I don't know that I'm going to stay with them, but I mean, right now they're a stopgap, I guess, right now. But there's a lot of there's a lot of people that use First Command. A lot of people that we all know. I think the Hamners use First Command. Jason Knuckles uses First Command. There's a bunch of people that we all know that use First Command.
Yeah.
But and they're not bad. I mean, we kind of, our office near Paris Island up there went through a couple of changes over. So now they finally got a financial advisor there that's staying there for a while. And we like her. So, I mean, we'll stay there for now. But we're playing catch up now. I mean, because basically until we went to our financial advisor basically a year ago, until that point, all we had was my thrift savings plan and Amy's 401k from that she's been rolling over from job to job to job to job as we move around the country. So
that's my concern now at 50, going on 51 years old, and I've talked to a lot of different people who talk about it and say, I was like, well, it's too late. And they're like, well, it's never too late. It's only too late when you don't do it. But, like you just said, unfortunately, you have to start playing catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. And what that means is up until you're 50 years old, you can only invest so much into your individual retirement accounts and so much in your mutual funds and that kind of stuff. But once which I think is $7,000, but now once you hit 50, you can start investing $8,000 a year to catch up. And then like the whole life insurance thing, we have an indexed life insurance, a universal life insurance policy on me, because Amy, I mean, I've got basically 4 income streams between my retirement, my VA, my school board income, and now my teaching income. I'm bringing in 70%, 75, almost 75% of the income into the household. So if I pass away, Amy's going to be struggling to make ends meet. So I have the largest insurance policy between the two of us. But you can also borrow against it. The insurance policy also has I can't remember what it's called. It's basically if I get put into a nursing home, we can use the life insurance policy to get to pay for the nursing home.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Elderly care or something like that, permanent care. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's got that feature to it. So yeah, it's costing us $450 a month, but it's guaranteed to pay out when I die. you know, and there's all kinds of things it can be used for before I die. So, and our biggest deal is, you know, we want to get the enough money to have the house paid off, so Amy doesn't have to worry about a house payment.
Yeah.
But but we're rolling over our 401ks a little bit at a time, and thrift savings plan, because thrift savings plan is a traditional IRA. It's a traditional traditional IRA. So basically means when I want to start, if I didn't do anything with it, when I start pulling money out of it, the money pulled out of it is going to be taxed.
Yes.
It's no tax on the way in, so it's growing. It's growing tax deferred. But when you have to start pulling your money out no later than 72, because Uncle Sam has said you're allowed to grow this money tax free, but now we want our money out of it.
Yeah.
So now, but if you start a Roth IRA, we roll it over into a Roth IRA, it's taxed before it goes in.
Yes.
So then it grows tax free, and you pull it out tax free because you already paid taxes on the money before it grew, which is the best way to do it. Because
and you're ultimately paying less in tax at that point. Yes. Yeah, my boss and I were just talking about that a couple of weeks ago.
So our thrift, but like if I roll over my thrift savings plan now, it's a traditional IRA. So if I roll it over into a Roth, I have to pay all the taxes on it right now, which would be thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, probably like $6,000 in taxes.
No kidding.
Yes. So what we're going to do is roll it over like in 3 chunks. So roll it over like a third of it this year, pay $2,000 in taxes, roll it over a third next year, $2,000 in taxes, and then roll it over, you know, the rest of it in 3 years and pay $2,000 in tax. So it's not like a giant smack in the face with $6,000. And you can't just roll it over and say, okay, well, just, you know, take out the $6,000 from the rollover. It doesn't work that way. You have to pay the taxes on it out of your pocket. Yeah.
Wow.
Because if you have them take the money out, then that's a penalty against it, and it's all kinds of different things. So you have to pay the money out of pocket, which is,
so you basically have to pay it before you get the money to roll over.
Correct. So we're gonna start doing that soon and see how it goes. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, ain't that a kicker? They won't let you use the money you're rolling over to pay the taxes on. But
that's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it's basically that money has all been set aside for investments, and if you take the money out now to pay taxes on it, then you're not using that money for what it was basically contracted for.
You know, that makes sense.
And then now you're saying, okay, now I'm going to pull some money out and I'm going to use it to pay taxes. Well, that money is not, I mean, that you're basically, it's almost like crossing the streams. You're using money to pay taxes on money that should have already, I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. You started talking in circles. My head is spinning.
Yeah. It's like putting mirrors in front of each other. You know?
Yeah.
It's a never ending loop.
Very true. He froze up.
Government, your money. The never-ending loop of government stealing your money.
Yes, the never-ending loop of government stealing your money. That's pretty much the sum of it right there.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, cool. Let's see what else. What else is happening around the world that we want to talk about? Anything? I am actually in Missouri currently, so yeah, we are where I can't remember the name of the town here, but it's where Billy the Kid was shot and killed, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna go check that out and see that house where he was shot tomorrow. So pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been pretty fun. Let's see, we're staying here 2 nights and then we'll push on, and then because we only drive about 4 hours a day, so like 180-ish miles. like sometimes a little over, sometimes a little less, just kind of depends. So we don't drive a whole lot every day. But so we'll probably, be in Missouri another week or so, and then, total, well, probably not even that long, probably about another 4 days. And then we'll push on, continue on toward North Carolina, and we'll be in North Carolina area by the beginning of October.
Nice. Well, I went to Men's Warehouse and got my tuxedo, and I just got an email
Good
today
for
that
you.
and my mini medals are en route. They've been shipped. So
It's good. It's good. I don't have anything, and I may be going in my overalls. I don't know. We'll see.
you should go in a lost art, change your socks, same motivate change your socks
Yeah.
t-shirt.
There you go. You're
Or
on
put
mute,
that-
Mike.
I said, your blue still fits. You just button the top collar. I mean, a wrist can.
I mean, it would look like an evening dress for sure, like an officer's evening dress uniform. My belly would be out quite a bit further. You know that for my retirement ceremony that I had to go and purchase brand new camis because I couldn't fit into my other camis that I'd been wearing for the last several years. So about 2 weeks out, I was like, oh, I should try it because I was going to be in service uniform, right? I was like, well, I should try on my trousers, see what that looks like. It was like an inch and a half too short. It wasn't going. I was like, man. I was like, all right. Texted the boss. I'm like, hey, change of plans. We're going camis. And he is like, you got too fat, didn't you? I was like, yeah, I did. I'm too fat. Yeah. And so then it's a week out, and I'm like, I should try on my camis just to make sure. And I was like, and I was like, dang it. So I told the wife, I was like, hey, I got to go buy some new camis. She's
Just
like,
to
what?
retire.
And I'm like,
Just to retire. Yep.
yeah. I'm like, you don't understand. Nothing fits. I got to go. So I went to the Marine Exchange and got me some brand new camis. So yeah, I made everybody else look like garbage when I was retiring because my camis were so dark. I wore them one time. That was it.
You could have at least laid them out in the sun for a day or a couple of days or something. Washed them a couple 100 times.
Yeah, I was like, who cares? I just got to retire.
Yeah, that's typical band. They got to be brand new looking.
That's
Whatever.
true.
I had Sergeant Major Porterfield pull me aside after a gig one day and said, "It's time to change the pajamas, dude."
I remember when I was
Sergeant Major
drum major, I'd tell
Porterfield
them
was
all.
the wing sergeant major, and then he went on to be the MEF sergeant major.
Yeah. I would always tell the guys, especially at Lejeune when I was a drum major, because every year, no matter what season it was, I bought a brand new set of camis. And that was my gig camis for the year, right? So I'd come walking in with brand new camis, and I'm like, if your camis aren't as dark as mine, you better fix yourself. They'd all like, what? So they'd all have to go out and get new camis. They probably hated me. It's okay.
I always said,
but we look
especially
good.
29 Palms, I had the old salty woodlands on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What we did some job. It was 29 Palms, but I don't remember who the hell it was. And it was Master Sergeant Stafford was a drum major, and he's like, "You got to have, dark camis on, dark, like new. You got one pair we wear for." And I snuck it in there. I was like the faded spot in a sea of green, and all of a sudden we got done and did everything, and we get back up to the bus, and all of a sudden, God, who the hell was it? It was Sergeant Major came up. He goes, "Who's that salty motherfucker in the fucking band up there? It's got those fucking camis on." And Staffer's looking around, and he didn't even pay attention at it then, because I try to be good, but I just had this thing where I would fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I don't care, whatever. You know, I'm surprised I made it as far as I did before it caught up with me. But you know, and all of Stafford turned around and he goes, he didn't even know it was me because he never even paid attention to me. He goes, "Fucking McNanny, where the fuck's McNanny at?" And I come walk around the corner, and Sergeant Major's like, I was a corporal, and he goes, "Jesus Christ, devil dog! I thought you were fucking like a goddamn gunny or a master sergeant. It's fucking camis, man. That's awesome." You know, he was just going on, and Stafford's like,
Oh, that's good stuff.
so from that point on, he was like, "You can wear them, but when they get to the point, and I can see the buttonholes and the buttons on the flaps, you know, you stick the cardboard in it and iron it, you know, and didn't matter after a point in time, you could see the iron wear on them, the collars and the button, you know, everything, the crease down your trouser was white." You know, it's like, all right.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
You know, those are field camis. I'm like, okay. Well, those are everyday camis, but you can't wear them. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
But he, you know, everybody, it was spit shine boots at that point. You know, back then was everybody would get their boots resold. At least I did.
Yeah,
because you get a pair of boots on, you get them fit, everything. I'm not buying new damn boots.
Yeah,
So you get that
spit shine.
Yeah, you get that Vibram sole on it, you know, but it had that big yellow tag on the bottom of it.
Oh yeah.
And he was adamant. You know, first day he showed up, we got there for field drill. He goes, "Every single one of you motherfuckers has got those goddamn Vibram soles," and he had them too. He said, "By tomorrow we come back out here for field day, every one of those things is going to be painted black or edge dressed or something. I don't want to see no damn yellow."
Very nice.
Those were the good old days, but then I missed, you know, after the fact that I didn't have to iron everything every damn day. And I spit shined every night, man. I was like, you know, shining and breaking them down with shaving cream and crap like that. I mean, I was the master of spit shining, but all of a sudden when I didn't have to do it anymore, it was like, I don't miss that.
Yeah.
I don't miss that. Just take a little brush and kick the dirt off of them a little bit.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
So when the night that I checked into the School of Music, you know, brand new PFC here, checking into the School of Music, they take me up. Actually, it was John Russ takes me up to my room after I check in with Chuck Eddy at the office, and he calls in John Russ. John Russ runs me over to my room. He goes, "All right, this is your roommate. This is Kyle Southwick is his name. Blah, 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 blah. You know, all right, well, this is what time muster is in the morning. Southwick, she'll fill you in on everything, how to get to chow and blah, blah, blah." I'm like, all right, cool. So I walk in, and here's my fucking roommate in the middle of the room painting Stay Flow concentrated starch on the inside of his camis with a paintbrush from a bowl, like the concentrated, like you're supposed to add water to, right? Or you put like a tablespoon in your spray bottle, right? No. He was just straight out of a bowl with a paintbrush painting the inside of his camis. And I'm like,
it was like cardboard.
Yeah. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, this is how it's got to be sharp. This is what we do around here. And I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, he was painting his trousers. His blouse was already standing up in the corner
by itself.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, all right. So I do the same thing that night, spend all night long painting my fucking camis, waiting for them to dry, and then iron them out with a little spot. And here I come in to muster the next morning, all crunchy and shit, you know, crunch. And the fucking guy, I don't remember who the guide's name was, but he calls me. He goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ, get over here!" He goes, "Are you Southwick's roommate?" And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh.
No,
yes,
you went.
I am. He said, "Don't ever paint your camis ever again."
You probably never had to after that. It probably just stayed.
Oh my gosh. Like 3 days later, when I washed my camis, I washed with my other camis. My other camis came out of the washer that starched. And I'm like, God damn. I had to wash all my camis like 4 times.
You know what it was like, because you did all that, and then you just dreaded having to wash them. So you washed everything together. That way it all kind of combined back together.
Yeah.
And no, we didn't. We didn't. I mean, even at 29 Palms, we didn't like water down the starch. It was just pour in a spray bottle, and those babies were dripping. You'd hang them up and just let them drip, and you could sit there and hold them out like a flag, and just iron those babies out.
Yeah. When
which
the
was
Cherry
horrible
checked
in the
Go ahead.
it was horrible in the heat.
Yeah.
Because you can't. I mean, there's no breathing through it. I guess nothing.
Yeah. When
I
the
don't remember
Cherry
if the new
checked in
camis
29
had it in
Palms,
the. I don't remember if the new camis had it in the knees, but you remember that in the old Woodlands had that knee pleat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the pocket for the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
Like,
where I always all my scrap wore out was right there. Was folded
Mhm.
over and ironed, and it always
Yeah.
start to get real thin. It's like, son of a bitch, man! I just got these camis right where I wanted them, and now these babies are as white as it can be, And I didn't wear the ripstops. I wore the old wood, the heavy ones. I always hated the ripstops. At least that's what I always called them. But the lightweight.
Yeah. Like
I like the lightweight ones.
McSherry showed me this trick. You turn your stuff inside out, and then you can see the inside of the crease. He goes, you just take your spray bottle, spray down just the crease. Don't spray anything else. Spray just the crease.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Never turn back.
Good old Rob.
I will tell
Yeah,
you,
man, you gotta do
when
it
the
just
new
like
camis,
this.
when the new camis came out, I never put iron to them. I was like, nah, I'm good. I ain't doing it.
I still iron my cover, and I would stick, even in the old cover and the new ones, I would cut a piece of cardboard and stick it in the front,
Mhm.
stick it in the back, wedge it in there, and I'd hit the iron on it. But and that was like a rite of passage. Who had the best cover? Sit there and
Yeah.
start that bitch out and just
Literally,
stick
you could
it.
use that as a throwing star.
Yeah, you put the cover block in it. You remember that? It
Yeah.
was like the 2-piece thing. You screwed it in there, and then you had
Yep.
Mhm.
you stick it in there. I'd do
Yeah.
all that, and then to get the bill right, I had a coffee can. I'd put that
Oh,
baby
yeah.
on there and soak it down, and put a couple boot bands on it, and let it sit overnight. And it was like, yeah.
Yep. I just
Oh,
wrapped
man.
a roll of toilet paper and duct tape, and that was mine.
Yeah.
These Marines nowadays have no clue the stupidity we had to go through when it
They
comes
got
to
ACOGs
uniforms.
now when they're shooting. They don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna get one of
500
those
with a-
Iron Sights alumni T-shirts.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. That'd be really good. Maybe I'll make one and put it on the website.
Yeah. Lost art of the Iron Sights.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's good. I'll make that tonight and put it up there. That's good. I like it. All right. Ideas. All right, guys. Well, we've been on here, I think, long enough and talked about shenanigans long enough. What do you guys think?
Yeah, fair enough.
Had a good time.
All right. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys, for coming
shenanigans.
on. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. You guys rock. Hopefully someday in the near future, we'll have everybody on. It'll be pretty cool. If not, it's all good. It'll just be us
Wait.
or
We
me
got
and whoever shows up.
words of wisdom.
Oh, yeah. Let's do words of wisdom if you got it.
Let's see. What's a good one? Like as I go through life, I actually have this list that I keep of quotes I come across. Let's see. Maybe not. Okay.
You're really thinking hard on this. Words
Yeah,
of
well,
wisdom.
I'm just trying to see if any of them apply to what we were talking about tonight.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Mike,
nope.
you got one ready while he is umming over there, trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I got one. I saw
All
it
right,
a couple
go
weeks
ahead.
ago, and I kept forgetting about it. It's actually from Robin Williams.
Ooh, okay.
Said, I think people who have experienced the greatest sadness are the ones who always put the hardest effort in to make others happy. because
Oh,
they know in their heart and soul and their flesh what it feels like to be desolate and down, and they really don't want anyone else to feel that way.
wow. You think that was a cry for help? Jeez.
Probably, more than likely.
Yeah.
But
Wow. That's pretty deep.
I don't know if that was words of wisdom or not, but I mean, it was at least a quote or a saying that I appreciated.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Let's see. Maybe the best one that I have tonight. If you don't make mistakes, you're not working on hard enough problems, and that's a big mistake.
That's good. I like that. I'll say one. A certain guy I know that used to say this pretty regularly. Suck it up, Buttercup. It'll be all right. All right, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate it. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need some help, anything like that, make sure that you reach out for help. The VA does have some great resources. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. The crew cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, remember your buddies, reach out to them and ask them how they're doing. And if they need a helping hand, go ahead and reach out and help them. All right, with that, guys, one last time, thank you to all the listeners. Stay motivated, change your socks.